Chief Controller Marcus Johnson wasn't just visiting the air traffic control tower that day during shift change, but when tower personnel questioned his access credentials, a critical weather emergency revealed something that would make him the only person capable of saving 300 flights. Chief Controller Marcus Johnson approached the towering air traffic control facility at Chicago O'Hare International Airport with the purposeful stride and professional bearing of someone who had spent the last 27 extraordinary years mastering every aspect of air traffic management, developing innovative safety protocols, and coordinating complex aircraft operations that required split-second decision-making and comprehensive understanding of airspace management systems that protected millions of passengers who depended on precise navigation guidance and expert traffic coordination during the most challenging weather conditions and peak operational periods. At 53 years old, he carried himself with the quiet confidence and institutional authority that comes from accumulating over 30,000 hours of active air traffic control experience, earning advanced certifications in radar approach control and tower operations, and developing expertise in emergency coordination procedures that had earned him recognition as one of the most skilled and experienced air traffic control specialists in the Federal Aviation Administration's Central Region through innovative management techniques and exceptional performance during critical weather emergencies and high-traffic operational challenges. His credentials included Air Traffic Control Tower Operator Certification, Radar Approach Control Authorization, Emergency Coordination Specialist Endorsement, and numerous advanced technical qualifications that enabled him to manage everything from routine traffic flow to complex emergency situations involving severe weather diversions, aircraft mechanical failures, and multi-airport coordination that required immediate decision-making and precise communication with pilots, ground control, and emergency response teams throughout the regional airspace system. Today's visit to the control tower was part of his regular oversight responsibilities as Chief Controller for the Regional Air Traffic Management Center, where he possessed ultimate authority to coordinate traffic flow, implement emergency procedures, and manage critical weather responses that maintain safety and efficiency throughout one of the world's busiest airspace environments that handled over 2,000 aircraft movements daily. His navy blue Federal Aviation Administration uniform bore the specialized patches and certification credentials that immediately identified him to knowledgeable observers as someone with extraordinary qualifications and authority in air traffic management. Though his appearance as a black controller in a specialized field historically dominated by white personnel often led to immediate assumptions and prejudiced reactions from tower staff and facility personnel who couldn't reconcile his obvious competence with their limited understanding of contemporary air traffic control leadership and advanced operational expertise in high-pressure aviation coordination environments. Tower Supervisor Jennifer Walsh, a mid-level manager with 8 years of experience who had developed traditional views about air traffic control hierarchy and who possessed conventional approaches to facility access and operational protocols during routine shift changes and personnel transitions, immediately noticed Marcus approaching the control tower elevator and felt compelled to investigate what she perceived as unauthorized access to restricted operational areas where only current facility personnel and properly credentialed controllers were permitted during active air traffic control operations and sensitive coordination activities. Walsh's background in standard facility operations and her limited exposure to regional management personnel had shaped her assumptions about access protocols and appropriate verification procedures, leading her to believe that she could accurately assess someone's authorization based on superficial evaluation rather than actual credentials, regional authority, or professional accomplishments that might not be immediately apparent during routine facility access and shift transition procedures. "Excuse me, sir," Supervisor Walsh called out, with obvious administrative authority and security consciousness, as she approached Marcus with the controlling presence of someone who believed she was protecting sensitive air traffic control operations from unauthorized access by individuals who lacked proper facility credentials and operational authorization necessary for legitimate tower access during active traffic coordination and safety-critical communication activities. This is a restricted Federal Aviation Administration facility that requires specific access authorization and current facility credentials for tower operations. and I'm going to need to see comprehensive documentation before allowing elevator access to our operational control areas. Her directive carried unmistakable implications that she seriously doubted Marcus's legitimacy and facility authorization, suggesting that his presence near the control tower represented some kind of security breach or administrative error that needed immediate correction through firm but professional denial of access to sensitive operational areas where aircraft safety and traffic coordination required constant protection from unauthorized personnel and inappropriate interference. Marcus paused in his routine approach to the control tower facility and turned to address the tower supervisor with the patient professionalism that had characterized his federal career when dealing with personnel who misunderstood regional authority structures and failed to recognize specialized credentials and management oversight responsibilities that extended beyond individual facility operations. "Good afternoon," he replied with calm federal authority while retrieving his comprehensive identification package from his official credentials case, which contained Federal Aviation Administration Regional Management Authorization, air traffic control oversight permits, and emergency coordination credentials that established his legitimate authority to access all tower facilities and coordinate regional traffic management activities. "I'm Chief Controller Marcus Johnson from the Regional Air Traffic Management Center, and I'm conducting routine operational oversight and coordination assessment as part of our ongoing safety and efficiency evaluation program." Walsh examined his federal credentials with obvious skepticism and institutional resistance to external oversight, studying the regional management documents as if they were somehow insufficient to justify access to what she considered to be her exclusive operational domain, where facility authority and local procedures were more important than regional oversight and management coordination that might interfere with established routines and operational autonomy. "These regional papers don't necessarily mean you have current facility access authorization or appropriate security clearance for our specific tower operations," she said dismissively, while returning Marcus's credentials with obvious reluctance and continued resistance to external management oversight. "We have established protocols for outside personnel that require advanced coordination and facility management approval before allowing access to sensitive operational areas and active traffic control positions." Her condescending explanation and obvious bias against regional authority demonstrated her fundamental misunderstanding of Federal Aviation Administration management structure and hierarchical oversight responsibilities, where regional controllers possessed unquestioned authority to access facility operations and coordinate traffic management without advance notice or local approval requirements. As the confrontation continued in full view of tower controllers, approach control personnel, and facility staff who worked in the busy air traffic control center, Marcus began documenting the systematic patterns of exclusion and operational hierarchy that were preventing him from conducting legitimate regional oversight, despite his comprehensive authorization and federally mandated authority to examine facility operations, coordination procedures, and emergency response capabilities that were essential for maintaining regional airspace safety and operational efficiency standards. He observed how white management personnel and federal officials were typically accommodated without challenge or verification during routine oversight visits, while his presence was consistently questioned and restricted despite his superior qualifications and extensive experience in air traffic control management that far exceeded the operational knowledge of most facility personnel working in tower and approach control positions. The differential treatment was so obvious and systematic that several air traffic controllers began expressing discomfort about the discriminatory access policies they were observing, though none felt confident enough to directly challenge supervisory decisions during active traffic control operations that required coordinated teamwork and clear facility authority, even when those decisions appeared to be based on prejudiced assumptions rather than actual security requirements and operational protocols. Walsh continued her exclusionary policies by demanding additional verification and questioning the scope of Marcus's oversight authorization, apparently believing that facility autonomy and local control were more important than regional coordination and management oversight during routine operational assessment that was essential for maintaining system-wide safety and efficiency standards. "Chief Controller Johnson," she said with obvious dismissal and bureaucratic resistance, "I'm going to need you to coordinate with our facility management and provide detailed explanations of your oversight objectives before I can authorize access to our active control positions and operational coordination areas." Her unreasonable demands for supplementary authorization that violated federal oversight requirements and regional coordination protocols demonstrated the systematic resistance and discriminatory obstacles that continued to limit management effectiveness and compromise safety oversight activities that were essential for maintaining regional airspace coordination and operational excellence. Marcus recognized the familiar pattern of institutional resistance and management obstruction that he had encountered throughout his federal career. Though he remained committed to conducting necessary oversight and ensuring operational coordination despite the personal and professional challenges created by facility personnel who prioritized protecting their local authority from regional oversight rather than cooperating with legitimate management activities that were essential for maintaining system-wide safety and operational effectiveness. As severe thunderstorm systems began developing rapidly across the Chicago metropolitan area, with dangerous wind shear conditions, heavy precipitation, and lightning activity that required immediate implementation of complex weather coordination procedures and emergency traffic management protocols, the control tower facility started receiving urgent reports of deteriorating conditions that demanded immediate expert intervention and specialized coordination techniques that exceeded the experience and training of most facility personnel who lacked advanced emergency management qualifications. Senior Controller David Kim, an experienced facility operator with 12 years of tower experience who had worked with Marcus during previous weather emergencies and understood his exceptional expertise in severe weather coordination, approached the facility access area with obvious concern about the developing crisis and the need for immediate deployment of specialized emergency management capabilities. "Supervisor Walsh," he said with professional urgency and growing anxiety about the weather situation, "we're receiving reports of severe thunderstorm development with dangerous wind shear and multiple aircraft requesting emergency weather diversions that require immediate expert coordination and regional traffic management that exceeds our current facility capabilities." His assessment and obvious concern about optimal emergency response highlighted the critical need for specialized expertise and advanced coordination techniques that were essential for managing complex weather emergencies and protecting aircraft safety during severe weather conditions. Walsh responded defensively to Kim's assessment, her explanation revealing both her limited understanding of emergency coordination requirements and her reluctance to acknowledge that external expertise might be essential for managing critical weather situations that exceeded routine facility operations and standard traffic control procedures. "Controller Kim, we have established emergency protocols and appropriate personnel to handle weather diversions according to our facility procedures and standard operating guidelines," she replied with obvious irritation at having her authority questioned and her facility capabilities challenged during a developing crisis situation. Marcus continued his professional observation of the developing weather emergency while maintaining his readiness to contribute his specialized expertise despite the systematic exclusion and discriminatory treatment that was preventing him from accessing the control tower during a critical situation that specifically required his advanced emergency coordination skills and regional weather management experience. Among the controllers and facility personnel were several air traffic specialists who began recognizing the severity of the weather emergency and the potential need for specialized coordination expertise that exceeded routine facility capabilities and required advanced emergency management techniques. Facility Manager Robert Chen, who had been monitoring the weather development from his administrative office and growing increasingly concerned about the complexity of the emerging crisis and the need for specialized regional coordination, finally decided to investigate the personnel situation and ensure that all available expertise was being utilized effectively during this critical weather emergency. Facility Manager Chen approached the access control area with the decisive urgency of someone who understood both the severity of the developing weather emergency and the critical importance of utilizing all available expertise during complex situations that required specialized knowledge, advanced coordination techniques, and proven experience in regional weather management that could determine safety outcomes for hundreds of aircraft and thousands of passengers. "Chief Controller Johnson," he said with immediate respect and obvious relief after quickly recognizing Marcus's regional authority and emergency coordination credentials. "Thank God you're here during this developing weather crisis. We need your specialized expertise and regional coordination authority to manage the complex diversions and emergency procedures that are exceeding our facility capabilities." His intervention immediately changed the facility dynamics as tower personnel began to understand that specialized expertise and regional authority were essential for managing complex emergencies that exceeded routine facility operations and required advanced coordination techniques and proven emergency management experience. Chen quickly reviewed the developing weather situation while simultaneously recognizing Marcus's comprehensive qualifications and regional management authority that were essential for coordinating multi-facility responses and implementing complex emergency procedures that protected aircraft safety during severe weather conditions. "Chief Johnson," he continued with obvious respect and professional gratitude, "your regional emergency coordination authority and specialized weather management expertise are exactly what we need to safely manage this developing crisis and protect aircraft operations throughout the regional airspace system." His immediate recognition of regional authority and emergency expertise created pressure for facility cooperation and professional support that would ensure optimal coordination and safety management during the critical weather emergency. Walsh watched with obvious discomfort and professional embarrassment as her exclusionary decisions were being overruled by facility management that recognized the importance of specialized expertise over local authority during complex emergencies that demanded the most qualified and experienced personnel available for successful crisis management. "Manager Chen," she said defensively in an attempt to justify her discriminatory access decisions, "I was following established security protocols and facility procedures that ensure appropriate access control and operational security during routine and emergency situations." Her explanation sounded increasingly inadequate and professionally inappropriate as emergency conditions continued to deteriorate and the need for specialized expertise became increasingly critical for maintaining aircraft safety and operational coordination. As Facility Manager Chen continued reviewing Chief Controller Johnson's extensive credentials and emergency management portfolio while simultaneously monitoring the rapidly deteriorating weather conditions, his expression shifted from professional relief to obvious amazement and growing recognition of the extraordinary level of expertise and emergency coordination capability represented by the individual who had been so inappropriately excluded from facility access based solely on discriminatory assumptions and inadequate security protocols. "Chief Johnson," he said with increasing respect and professional admiration as he studied Marcus's emergency coordination record, advanced weather management certifications, and crisis response accomplishments that revealed the scope of his contributions to regional air traffic safety and emergency coordination excellence. "I'm beginning to understand that we have one of the nation's most qualified emergency coordination specialists available during this critical weather crisis, and we need to immediately deploy your expertise for optimal aircraft safety and regional coordination." The documentation revealed that Marcus was not simply a qualified air traffic controller with routine emergency training, but rather a specialized expert whose advanced education and extensive experience had established him as one of the most knowledgeable and skilled emergency coordination specialists in the Federal Aviation Administration, with credentials and crisis management experience that exceeded the qualifications of virtually all facility personnel typically available during severe weather emergencies. His specialized training included advanced weather coordination techniques, complex multi-facility management procedures, emergency communication protocols, and crisis decision-making capabilities that were specifically designed for managing severe weather situations and had been proven effective during numerous successful emergency coordinations throughout his distinguished career. The regional weather coordination protocols that are now standard throughout the air traffic system, Chen continued with obvious excitement and professional respect, incorporated emergency techniques and safety procedures that Chief Johnson helped develop during his work on federal weather management programs, and his expertise in severe weather coordination could be the determining factor in the successful management of this developing crisis. Air traffic controllers and facility personnel who had gathered around the emergency coordination area began expressing their amazement and professional recognition of someone whose specialized knowledge and advanced training represented exactly the type of expertise that was essential for complex weather emergencies, creating an atmosphere of respect and operational readiness that stood in stark contrast to the discriminatory exclusion and facility resistance that had characterized the initial access denial. The transformation from systematic exclusion to professional recognition demonstrated how discriminatory assumptions and facility hierarchy could prevent air traffic operations from utilizing their most qualified personnel during critical situations that required specialized expertise and advanced emergency coordination for successful outcomes and optimal aircraft safety. Facility Manager Chen immediately recognized that the continued exclusion of the most qualified emergency coordination specialist represented a serious operational failure that could compromise aircraft safety and emergency response effectiveness during a critical weather situation that demanded immediate deployment of specialized expertise and advanced coordination techniques that could determine safety outcomes for hundreds of flights and thousands of passengers whose safety depended on expert weather management and professional emergency coordination. "Chief Johnson," he said with unmistakable authority and professional respect, as he officially designated Marcus as the emergency coordination leader for the severe weather crisis. "I'm placing you in direct command of all weather coordination activities, regional traffic management, and emergency response procedures, effective immediately." His decisive intervention and clear recognition of specialized qualifications sent an unmistakable message to all facility personnel that emergency expertise and advanced training would determine operational assignments during critical weather situations, rather than facility hierarchy or discriminatory assumptions that had no place in professional air traffic control operations. Walsh reluctantly stepped aside with obvious resentment and defensive posturing that clearly indicated her inability to understand or acknowledge that specialized qualifications and emergency expertise should take precedence over facility authority during weather crises that required advanced knowledge and proven experience for successful coordination and aircraft safety protection. "Sir," she said defensively in a final attempt to maintain her authority and justify her discriminatory access decisions, "I was following established facility protocols that ensure appropriate security and prevent operational confusion during complex emergency situations." Her explanation only served to further highlight her misunderstanding of emergency coordination requirements and demonstrate her failure to recognize that weather crisis management demanded advanced expertise and specialized training that exceeded routine facility qualifications and standard operational experience. Marcus immediately assumed emergency coordination command, with the confident expertise and specialized knowledge that had made him one of the most respected crisis managers in air traffic control, quickly assessing the weather situation and implementing advanced coordination techniques that required intimate understanding of regional airspace, emergency procedures, and complex traffic management methods that were essential for successful weather crisis resolution. "All facilities and aircraft," he announced with clear authority and professional competence over the regional coordination system, "We're implementing specialized severe weather procedures with coordinated diversions and systematic traffic management that will optimize safety outcomes and ensure effective emergency coordination throughout the regional airspace." His immediate demonstration of specialized expertise and advanced coordination knowledge created confidence among air traffic controllers and facility personnel, who recognized that they were now being led by someone whose qualifications and experience were specifically designed for exactly this type of complex weather emergency situation. As Chief Controller Johnson assumed operational command of the severe weather emergency response, his specialized expertise and advanced coordination techniques immediately became apparent to everyone involved in the crisis management as he deployed sophisticated communication procedures, implemented complex traffic management protocols, and directed regional coordination activities that demonstrated the extraordinary level of training and professional competence that had been systematically excluded from emergency response, until management intervention recognized the critical importance of specialized qualifications over facility hierarchy. All regional facilities were implementing coordinated weather diversions with precision traffic management that requires comprehensive understanding of multi-facility coordination and emergency communication protocols. He explained with the clear authority and systematic knowledge that had made him a recognized expert in weather emergency coordination throughout the air traffic control community. His detailed knowledge of regional airspace, emergency procedures, and crisis management protocols enabled him to quickly identify and address potential complications that had not been apparent to personnel with routine facility training but limited emergency coordination experience, preventing escalation of the weather crisis and optimizing safety outcomes for all aircraft and passengers throughout the regional airspace system. The coordinated emergency response that Marcus directed involved precise timing, advanced communication procedures, and specialized traffic management deployment that required years of training and extensive experience to execute effectively, demonstrating the critical importance of deploying qualified specialists during complex weather emergencies rather than relying on facility hierarchy and routine personnel who lacked the advanced knowledge necessary for optimal crisis outcomes. Regional coordination centers implement systematic weather diversions using specialized multi-facility patterns that account for airspace capacity and emergency landing priorities. He continued with technical precision and operational expertise that immediately improved crisis coordination and safety effectiveness while preventing potential complications that could have threatened aircraft safety and emergency response success. Air traffic controllers, who had initially questioned his facility access, began expressing obvious respect and professional admiration for his expertise as they witnessed the immediate improvement in emergency coordination and safety procedures that resulted from deploying specialized knowledge and advanced training during the complex weather crisis. Radio communications and operational documentation from the emergency response began recording the transformation in coordination effectiveness that occurred when specialized expertise was properly utilized, creating evidence of the critical importance of recognizing and deploying qualified personnel during weather emergencies, rather than maintaining discriminatory practices that could compromise aircraft safety and emergency response outcomes. The successful coordination of complex crisis management under Marcus's specialized leadership demonstrated how emergency expertise and advanced training could determine the difference between successful weather coordination and potential catastrophic outcomes during critical situations that required specialized knowledge and proven experience. The moment Chief Controller Johnson successfully coordinated the complex severe weather emergency that resulted in the safe diversion and management of over 300 aircraft without incident or safety compromise. The extraordinary significance of his specialized expertise and advanced emergency coordination became undeniably apparent to everyone involved in the crisis response as they witnessed the direct correlation between emergency knowledge and successful weather management that could only have been achieved through decades of dedicated training and extensive experience in regional coordination and crisis management operations. Ladies and gentlemen, Facility Manager Chen announced with obvious pride and professional gratitude as he addressed the assembled air traffic controllers, facility personnel, and regional coordination staff who had witnessed the successful resolution of what could have been a catastrophic weather emergency. The successful coordination of over 300 aircraft diversions and the prevention of potential safety incidents was made possible by the exceptional expertise and specialized knowledge of Chief Controller Marcus Johnson, one of the nation's most qualified emergency coordination specialists, whose advanced training and crisis management competence represent the highest standards of air traffic control excellence and professional achievement. The revelation created immediate recognition and professional respect among all facility personnel who understood that they had witnessed a demonstration of specialized expertise that had directly prevented potential aircraft incidents and catastrophic outcomes during a complex weather emergency that required advanced coordination knowledge and proven emergency management experience for successful resolution. Walsh, who had been observing the successful crisis coordination from a distance with obvious professional embarrassment and growing understanding of her mistake, finally began to comprehend the magnitude of her discriminatory decisions and the extraordinary individual whose specialized expertise she had so inappropriately excluded based on prejudiced assumptions rather than factual assessment of qualifications and emergency management competence that were essential for successful weather crisis coordination. Chief Johnson's coordination of this complex emergency response, Chen continued with genuine admiration and professional respect, demonstrated exactly the type of specialized expertise and advanced coordination knowledge that makes the difference between successful crisis outcomes and potential catastrophic consequences during weather emergencies that require immediate deployment of the most qualified and experienced personnel available. The assembled air traffic controllers, facility personnel, and pilots who had been safely guided through the weather emergency began expressing their gratitude and professional recognition for someone whose specialized knowledge and expert coordination had directly contributed to their safety and the successful resolution of a potentially catastrophic weather situation that could have resulted in serious incidents or accidents without proper expertise and advanced coordination intervention. This is why truth always comes to light, and justice always finds its way. If this story shows you that dignity and respect matter more than assumptions, make sure you subscribe to see more stories where justice prevails. Because when we stand together against discrimination, we make real change happen. Following the successful resolution of the severe weather emergency and the undeniable demonstration of how specialized expertise and advanced emergency coordination could determine life and death outcomes during complex weather situations, Facility Manager Chen immediately initiated comprehensive reforms to access protocols, personnel recognition procedures, and discrimination prevention measures that would ensure optimal utilization of qualified specialists during critical situations while eliminating systematic bias that could compromise operational effectiveness and aircraft safety. Supervisor Walsh was immediately enrolled in mandatory diversity training and specialized emergency coordination education that would address her discriminatory access decisions and provide her with proper understanding of regional authority and specialized qualifications that should determine facility access during emergency and routine operations, regardless of personal assumptions about individual capabilities. The incident became a catalyst for Federal Aviation Administration discussions about discrimination in air traffic control and the critical importance of recognizing and deploying specialized expertise during weather emergencies that required advanced coordination knowledge and proven crisis management experience for successful outcomes and optimal safety results that could affect hundreds of flights and thousands of passengers during critical weather situations. Marcus's successful coordination of the complex weather emergency became a model for effective crisis management throughout the air traffic control community as documentation and analysis of his specialized techniques spread across facility networks and training programs, inspiring air traffic facilities nationwide to examine their own access practices and ensure appropriate recognition of specialized qualifications and advanced training that could be essential during critical weather emergencies. Within months of the incident, Chicago O'Hare International Airport had implemented Chief Johnson's specialized weather coordination protocols as part of a comprehensive modernization program that improved emergency response effectiveness, reduced potential for discriminatory access decisions, and established the facility as a leader in innovative weather crisis coordination that attracted recognition from federal agencies and air traffic organizations throughout the aviation system. The transformation extended beyond individual attitudes and facility policies to influence broader conversations about diversity in air traffic control. The importance of recognizing and supporting specialized expertise regardless of demographic characteristics, and the critical need for systematic changes that would ensure optimal deployment of qualified personnel during emergency situations that could determine life and death outcomes for aircraft and passengers who depended on professional emergency coordination and crisis management. Federal Aviation Administration leadership recognized the facility's successful implementation of specialized weather coordination protocols by designating it as a training center for advanced emergency management, creating ongoing opportunities for collaboration between air traffic facilities, emergency coordination specialists, and weather management agencies who shared common goals of advancing safety, effectiveness, and professional excellence in weather crisis coordination and aircraft protection systems. Chief Controller Johnson's story became a powerful example of how professional expertise and specialized knowledge could triumph over institutional bias and discriminatory practices, while creating opportunities for systematic improvement and life-saving advancement that benefited entire industries and contributed to broader air traffic control progress and aviation safety protection. The lasting impact extended far beyond weather emergency coordination to influence how air traffic facilities, government agencies, and specialized coordination teams approached questions of diversity, inclusion, and optimal personnel deployment that could unlock life-saving capabilities and advance aviation safety protection through professional cooperation and mutual respect for expertise and specialized achievement, regardless of traditional barriers and prejudiced assumptions that had historically limited opportunities for qualified specialists and innovative emergency coordination professionals who possessed the advanced knowledge and proven experience essential for protecting aircraft safety and managing complex weather crises that threaten the lives and safety of countless passengers and crew members throughout the national airspace system. But Chief Controller Johnson's story is just one example of how truth always comes to light in the aviation industry. Next series. The truth doesn't stop here. Subscribe now to see more incredible stories where justice triumphs over discrimination, and watch how courage and expertise change entire industries. Because when we stand together, we make real change happen in aviation and beyond. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and turn on notifications for new content. Don't forget to hit the like button if this story moved you, and share your thoughts and opinions about this situation in the comments below.